Hi, my name is Adel Al Rahmani. I am the co-founder of Dubai Watch Club. And with me is...
Hi, I'm Alexandre Ghotbi. I'm Deputy Chairman and Head of Watches for Europe and Middle East at Philips.
So, let's talk about independence, right? I mean, like, we've been talking about Patek, we've been talking about Rolex, AP. I mean, the hype even went as far as Gerard Perregaux. You remember when those were on premium in the market? Yeah. That was a crazy time. That was the top.
That was
the top. Okay.
That signaled the end.
But yeah, let's talk about independence. What do you think happened to them?
I think independence, today there's three types of independence, or different types of independence. Rolex, Patek, Audemars. They're independent.
Technically, right?
They're independent, right? Yeah. Because they belong to the families. But that's not what I consider independence. Then you have a lot of micro brands that we saw come in the past few years, which are, like a Furlan Mari, Baltic, Anoma, the Space One watches.
Yeah.
Very cool watches. Most of them were like Kickstarter projects, but they're concepts. There's not really a watchmaker behind them, which is not true for Space One because Theo Offray is there, and he's a phenomenal watchmaker. Yeah. For me, the independents are the small artisanal brands that with the name of the founder or the maker on the dial, and I do put François-Paul Journe there, even though he himself considers himself either as a small brand or a very large independent, because he makes about 1,000 watches a year.
How would we define independent in that case, right? Like, is it a production number? Is it like if you have your name on the dial? Because de Bethune doesn't, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
right?
well,
like,
and Acrivia doesn't either.
Acrivia doesn't
exactly.
either. Yeah, well, now he does, right?
Now he does. But I think it's let's say the power behind that brand is a watchmaker, and for me that's quite important. Even though for MB&F he's not a watchmaker, but Max is so incredible that I think we should put him aside. Because he just gets it. He's got his finger on the pulse of the market. And that said, I'm not saying that to get an allocation for one of his watches. But but I think it's important because when you look at an Acrivia, let's take Recep Recepi.
Okay, so
not his Acrivia.
Not AK or okay, we're talking about the AKs.
Yeah.
Okay.
He started his company or his brand in 2012, I think. 2013. Quite.
I remember back
at the
then,
very,
they were selling for like 50, 60 off, and that was like without negotiation. But I don't. It feels like it was earlier. I don't know why, but let's call it.
And he was not selling them. You said it.
I know.
He was not selling
no
them.
one was buying at those prices.
And it's until his chronomètre contemporain came out that with the round case that he kind of got out of his hit the mainstream.
So you're talking about the RRCC.
Yeah.
I would go even a little bit further back with the AK06. I think
the AK06
that was kind of like the turning
to the flexing point.
Yeah.
I think he really hit it with the.
Oh, definitely.
That's
hit
for
his
me.
Stride with that. Yeah.
But going back on how do you define this independent is, he was making his Acrivia cases, that kind of lovely, which I love, the kind of tonneau round shape. It was kind of very modern and futuristic.
Very avant-garde. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he wasn't selling. But he was still continuing because that was what he believed in. Mm-hmm. And he didn't change for market requests, for some marketing department, some designer, whatever, because that is who he is. And same with François-Paul Journe. Today he's considered, the greatest, the grandfather of, the rise of the independents. But, 15 years ago, his watches, you could still have them as a discount too. You didn't have to wait on a waiting list.
I picked up my Chrono Blue in 2011. I don't remember, 20, 30 off.
There you go, but he still maintained his designs.
And people were making fun of me at that time because they thought that I'd overpaid. They told me you could have bought it for like 10K, like a Chrono Blue. But you know what I mean.
I understand. So I think for me, it's they believe in what they're doing and they stick to what they're doing and they don't respond to market requests. It's their blood, sweat, and tears in their watches. And if you look at it, even historically, independents are the ones who've been innovative and pushing the market. I was doing some research for a sale we have at Philips called Reloaded, which is dedicated to the revival of mechanical watchmaking 1980, 1999. So right after the quartz crisis.
Okay.
And, you know, who were those who were innovative at the time? Frank Mueller, probably one of the greatest watchmakers. I'm talking about the watchmaker. Maybe that's the brand.
Yeah.
The guy in 1982, 83, he was making perpetual calendar minute repeaters, chronograph tourbillons, world time minute repeaters. And every year he was bringing out something incredible. Just shows the talent that this man had.
You have to remember, Frank Mueller was not the big brand that it was today, like back in the 80s, right?
Exactly. He was a one-man team. He even signed his watches, Frank Genève. So for 15 years, he was just doing he was truly the master of complications. Then you had Sven Anderson. And then you had Calabrese. You had George Daniels. This is like in the 80s, 90s. Vianney Halter. Then comes the Baumgartner brothers with Urwerk. And then you have Roger Smith, you have Philippe Dufour, you have Daniel Roth, you have Journe, de Bethune. And, you know, and these guys were pushing the boundaries. These guys were, you know, taking watchmaking where the bigger brands were not really doing it. The problem is, after the crisis in 2008, it just kind of disappeared. There was no more independent brands or nothing that, you know, really anybody noticed. So it's in 2018-19 where Recep really started picking up, and I think it's his immense success, which is truly, you know, deserved, that made other watchmakers say, oh, okay, so I can actually do it myself too. And now today we see in 2024, like every day you have a new guy come, you know,
everybody
he leaves
wants
schools, everybody wants to do it. And what do we have? We have very nice three-hand watches with great movement finish. But at one point it's like, guys, that's no longer innovation.
You see, that's the problem, right? Like that was the trend, okay? Everybody was seeing, like, during this whole COVID period, right? What's going up in price that's not Rolex, Patek, AP, whatever, right? It's Philippe Dufour, it's Journe, it's Daniels, it's Smith. And I think a lot of watchmakers were also influenced by that, saying, hey, you know, I can make a finely finished three-handed watch, right? And as they invest into their company or machines to produce the watches, I think that a lot of them had the same idea at around the same time. And as one watchmaker popped up and started making them, the other one was like, oh man, someone else is doing it. I need to do it a little differently. I need to do it a little different. They all ended up with the same idea at the same time. And they just came out on a staggered basis, I think.
But Dufour beat them all by 25 years by bringing out the simplicity.
I'm with you, don't.
At the time saying, you know, guys, you can actually have a very, you know, fine watch made by hand, finished by hand with the three hands. But I think what's important in watchmaking is the capacity to innovate. I mean, when you think of it, Daniels, he created an escapement. Journe, he made his resonance. He made the
even the Optimum, I'd say, is like
the Optimum.
really.
I love the Optimum.
Nice.
I think people don't get it, but it's a phenomenal watch.
Did Curry do it first? That's the question.
Curry is, I think he's a super, not underrated, but he's very much under the radar because we often see his 28, which is phenomenal watches with a double impulse escapement. You know, it's a big deal, but all his unique pieces, his minute repeaters and tourbillons and multi-complications, they're all one-off. He makes it for the clients, and then they never come to the market.
Yep. I have seen this crazy piece. It is a unique caliber. I don't think another one has been made yet. It is a détente tourbillon.
Wow.
Like, why would you put those two together? You know, like, it doesn't make sense. But
there you go.
There you go. And it's one-off, you know, like it's a...
He does it because he can.
Exactly. I
Exactly.
mean, when you go to Curry and say, I want to make a bespoke watch, you know, he's like, yeah, sure. I mean, like, you dream it, I'll make it.
I'll make it, exactly.
Yeah, tiny case, like 38 mm case. I mean, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful
No,
watch.
and that's why I
Miniature
think
peeler, bezel actuated. Like, he can do anything. And
Anderson did that.
Yep.
The early models where you turn the bezel
Yep.
and then you. But I think that's what makes independence so relevant in today's market and in the horological market ever since, because these guys bring something to the table. The prices go up. If we go back to our discussion on prices, yeah, but why are the prices high? Because the guy can make 10 watches a year or 20 watches a year. It's not, let me make a limited edition of 25 pieces with a green dial, and the next year come back with a green dial and a red hand, and the third year with a red dial with the green hands, etc. It's the rarity comes from the quality of what they're doing, and the quality comes from the fact that there's a lot of artisanal craftsmanship in there. And that, I think, it really speaks to people. And as a auction professional, I can say that for decades, what we saw was Patek, Rolex, Patek, that are, you know, ruling over the auction world.
Absolutely.
And once in a while you had
yeah.
Breguet, you had Audemars, you had Vacheron, you had somebody pop up here and there. And everybody was saying, what is the third brand that can, you know, compete with these guys? And the third brand isn't a third brand, it's a genre, and that's the independence. And today, you know, for many years, seeing a watch that hit 1 million and above was a big thing. And basically you had 2-3 brands. But then Journe regularly goes above 1 million.
Correct.
You've had Philippe Dufour above 1 million. Daniels above 1 million. And others will, Recep above 1 million.
Yeah, recently, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So price does not equate to the value of the watch, but I think here we can actually say that the third brand is the independent genre, and it's good because these guys bring diversity, they bring elegance, they bring excitement to the market. You can have a Dufour, you can have an MB&F, you can have a Kari, you can have a De Beytoun, you can have a Recep. They're all independents and they have nothing in common, which is
correct.
The spice of our hobby.
That being said, what is an independent? I don't know how we got here.
For me, it really is where the founder
is playing an active role. Would you say
is really playing an active role, or where you can see that founder's personality in the watches, and where once again it doesn't respond to market requests or financial requests. It is the artist who wants to show what he or she can do.
See, now I have trouble there, because some independents, if you go to them, Kari, you ask him, hey, listen, I know you don't like the color purple, and I know that you don't like yellow sapphires, but here, make me a guilloche purple dial with yellow sapphires. And I would say that's not necessarily wrong of him to accept that order because he doesn't like it or believe in the design language that watch conveys, but he does it because he can, right?
He does it, but
and I respect that.
But
he will take anything.
But if you look at it, you will immediately know it's a Kari, because it's his personality.
Because it's personality. Okay. I see.
And I don't quite agree with you, because I've actually asked Kari a few times for something, and he's like, no.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me ask him. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'll let you know, and then if you can get
I don't know what you've asked him for. You must have asked for something nasty.
No, it was like applied numerals on a dial that he hadn't designed like that. So he's
was
like,
it
no.
Tasteful?
Obviously. At least I hope so. No,
That's the first time I've heard that. So just to be clear, like I've never heard Kari refuse because he didn't like it.
It has to correspond to what he is.
I've never heard of him. I've never heard of a friend who, other than you, who has asked him for something and he was like, no. I mean, not now. I understand. The waiting list is really long. Are you sure? I understand. It costs this much and your budget is this much, I understand. But like, no, it doesn't matter if you're willing to wait. It doesn't matter how much you're willing to pay. I just don't want to make the watch.
I've seen him, no, because because people who go, now we're just talking about Kari, but if people go to Kari, it's because they want a Kari watch that looks like a Kari Voutilainen.
Correct.
Which is, you know, that very special case shape, his lugs, his guilloche dials, his beautiful finish, the movements, etc. I mean, if you go to Kari and say, you know what, I want a minute repeating watch that looks like a Nautilus, he'll say no.
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, okay. Is that what you asked for?
No.
I'll get there. All right, so we can define an independent as a brand where the founder's personality is very obvious through the products of the watches, is not owned by a group, and still the founder is still maintaining an active role within the company, be it as a watchmaker or as a storyteller, like Max,
exactly.
For example.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I think you can ask 10 people what their definition is and you'll get 10 different
well,
answers.
to us, that's what
but
it
I
is,
agree
right?
Totally with you. Seems I agree with you a lot today.
Okay.